24-year-old Marine veteran Daniel Penny can be seen in this disturbing video restraining 30-year-old Jordan Neely, who was homeless in a chokehold for nearly 3 minutes. Sources tell ABC News Neely was yelling and acting erratically on the subway, but had not become physically violent. Other passengers
Welcome back to What's the 411 News, where we bring you news observation, interpretation, and news commentary from an FBA and BGR perspective. Let's get it. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back. Yes, we are live. Welcome back to What's the 411 News. And since we did our last news report, you guys remember this one right here, right? You remember when we reported on the protesters, on the subway tracks, blocking the train. You see in the background of this picture there is the train that's kind of in the background and all the people on the tracks. And they were protesting in the name of Jordan Neely, right? You guys remember that, right? And I posed the question of whether or not Daniel Penny would be arrested, right? I posed that will he be arrested? And lo and behold, he's gotten arrested, right? And so now that he's been arrested, right? He's looking for, or probably has, I think he already has a legal team already in place, right? He has a legal team in place. And guess who put some money on his legal books? Guess who put some money on his legal books? I don't know if you'd be surprised or not when you find out who put some money on his books, and we don't know if there were others and if these others will come forward and confirm that they have actually put money on his books, right? So with that being said, we're going to get right into it and get ready. All right, so let's get into it. All right, now bear with me right quick. All right, so the legal fund for accused NYC subway choker Daniel Penny tops $2 million, with Kid Rock. Yes, that's right, Kid Rock chipping in, but he's not the only one. All right, he's not the only one that chipped in to this fund. Okay, so we're gonna get into it. Last I remember, he actually had 2.5 million. All right, but it says 2 million. He's topped 2 million, meaning over 2 million already. All right, and so let's get into it, man. So check it out. The defense fund for accused Manhattan subway choker Daniel Penny surpassed $2 million on Monday, including a $5,000 contribution from yes, you know who, the so-called controversial rocker Kid Rock. All right, the campaign on Give, Send, Go, I guess it's which is some type of I guess you call it crowdfunding type of site, and I don't know what the specifications or the details on that site requires you, but in order to open up an account. But the campaign on Give, Send, Go stood at more than 2.2 million on Monday evening, with other generous donations coming from political commentators. So I'm gonna say these names off again because I want you guys to take note, write it down, put it in your memory banks, and be paying attention if and when you hear these names come up. I'm sure one of them for sure will come up. So first off, we got Kid Rock. He put in $5,000, right? So now, with other generous donations coming from political commentator Tim Pool, you guys write that name down, Kid Rock, Tim Pool, and Tim Pool chipped in $20,000. All right, he put in $20,000 for Daniel Penny's legal fund. All right. And Republican, get it straight now, Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy, who donated $10,000. All right. Before we go on, real quick, I already have it in the description. There's a link that will show, I would say eloquently so, by Jason Black, broke down how Vivek Ramaswamy is actually, I guess you could say, anti-black to the fullest. And if you guys want to see that, check it out after you check us out. Click on that link in the description and you will see in full detail how Vivek Ramaswamy, the one that had that beef with Don Lemon, when they was going back and forth at it before, I guess, Don Lemon got fired. He was the one who was going back and forth with Don Lemon. And he says he's a Indian. I guess he calls himself an Indian American, from East India. All right. And if you guys will click the link in the description after you check this out, you will see how Vivek Ramaswamy is not who he claims, or if you ever hear him talking in any more places, any other locations on TV or YouTube or whatever, don't believe anything he tells you in regards to his upbringing. And if he tries to claim he's not anti-black, you click that link and you'll find out how anti-black Vivek Ramaswamy really is. He was really broken down to the very last compound on what type of person this guy is, Vivek Ramaswamy. He's the same, I guess, ethnicity as Kamala Harris, and Kamala Harris is not black. All right. So with that being said, we're going to go on, man, and continue. All right. So Mr. Penny is a hero, Kid Rock, whose real name is Robert James Ritchie, wrote on the site. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg is a POS, according to Kid Rock. All right. Y'all look up what POS or ask somebody what POS is. All right. I'm sure you can figure out what that means. All right. That's what he's calling Alvin Bragg, a POS, piece of, and you can fill in the rest. All right. His rep confirmed the donation to Fox News. So it's been confirmed that Kid Rock definitely put in that money, $5,000, towards Daniel Penny's fund. All right. So Penny, who's 24 years old, has reeled in donations from more than 47,000. That's 47,000 supporters on the fundraising site. All right. And that fundraising site is Give, Send, Go. All right. As he prepares to fight a second-degree manslaughter charge in the May 1st death of Jordan Neely. All right. A 30-year-old homeless man with a history of mental illness. All right. The importance of this support has gone beyond the dollar amount raised and has come to symbolize a statement of support for the right and duty to stand up for each other when faced with an imminent threat. Penny's attorney, Stephen M. Razor, told another news source. All right, so I'm going to read that one again. Let that so it can sink in. This is what the Penny's attorney is saying. He said the importance of this support, of these 47,000 supporters, has gone beyond the dollar amount raised and has come to symbolize a statement of support for the right and duty to stand up for each other when faced with an imminent threat, Penny's attorney, Stephen Razor, said. Now, before I continue, let me just click out of this thing real quick. Let me just click out of here because I'm going to play this video again. And this thing should be taken into some serious account. All right. This should be taken into some serious account. I'm going to play this one more time. I want y'all to listen to it. If you didn't hear it clearly the first time, listen to this again. All right. Let me play this video.
24-year-old Marine veteran Daniel Penny can be seen in this disturbing video restraining 30-year-old Jordan Neely, who was homeless in a chokehold for nearly 3 minutes. Sources tell ABC News Neely was yelling and acting erratically on the subway, but had not become physically violent. Other passengers.
Okay, in that report, he said sources say he was acting erratic, but he did not become violent. All right. So I hope this information reaches who it needs to reach. And the people, whoever these sources are, that says, hey, look, yeah, he was acting a little erratic, although he has mental illness, and we're going to get into that in a bit. He was acting a little erratic, but, you know, he didn't become violent. All right. Keep that in mind. He did not become violent. All right. So with that being said, we're going to go back to this article here. All right. And we're going to go ahead and continue. All right. So Penny's attorney feels like this is a big importance of this support has gone beyond the dollar amount raised. It has come to symbolize a statement of support for the right and duty to stand up for each other when faced with the imminent threat. But there wasn't, as I just played for you guys, there was no imminent threat because according to quote unquote sources from this report, according to sources, yeah, he might have been acting a little erratic, but he did not become violent. So where was the imminent threat if he did not become violent, according to the sources? And hopefully these sources have given their statement. Either he or she, or if there's a group of people, hopefully they've given their statement, or he or she's statement. All right, that he did not act in a violent manner or did not get violent. He only acted erratic. All right, so keep that in mind. All right, Razor mentioned or maintained that Penny put his life at risk. He really, Razor, really, Stephen Razor, he put his life at risk when sources already said he did not get violent, only acting erratic. There's a difference between acting erratic and acting causing an action of being violent. All right, by intervening when Neely began acting violently. Now notice in this report, you seeing they using the words that saying that Razor maintained that Penny put his life at risk by intervening when Neely began acting violently, in quotes. But you just heard the audio saying he was acting erratic, but he didn't get violent. So notice how they're using the words. They're already trying to get this set up. Already in the public's eyes and ears, if you don't pay attention and read these things, you'll think, oh yeah, dude, this X, Y, and Z, he was being violent. But you heard in that audio that he was acting, sources said he was just acting a little erratic, but he didn't become violent. But yet in this thing here, you're seeing where it says Penny put his life at risk by intervening when Neely began acting violent. I thought he was acting erratic and did not become violent. All right, pay attention to that stuff. The mindset is pretty simple. He was fearful for the safety of those passengers. So Penny was fearful, not for himself, but for the safety of the passengers when, according to sources, I'm going to keep referring back to that audio you just heard at the beginning and that I played a few minutes ago. He was acting erratic, but didn't become violent. Yet Penny was fearful for the safety of those passengers, according to Penny's attorney, Razor. All right. All right. So when he acted, his mindset was to keep his fellow passengers safe from attack. Well, ain't that nice, Penny? You were so nice, right? Let's go on and continue, man. Let's continue. And there's the picture of Penny. And there are two other people holding him down, which I say they also should be involved in his death as well. Because when you choke somebody, let me get back out of here for a sec. When you choke somebody, right? When you go on and choke somebody, the natural reaction, if somebody were to come behind me right now, and I'm pretty sure they won't get to that point, but if they got to the point where their arms got around me, around my neck, first reaction to anybody's going to do this or try to get them, try to get their face, try to maybe grab a hand. For some of you MMA fighters and BJJ fighters, you're going to try to grab the fist, the hand, however the person is putting the hold on, right? However that person is, I'm putting the hold on, right? However they putting the hold on. Your natural reaction is to go on and grab. You know, you're trying to make sure that person is squeezing on you tight. You're going to actually grab to keep that person off of you, right? It only makes sense. So in that picture here, you see where some other people here, which I mentioned in the other report that we did here, that there's a couple of people that were with him or appear to be with Penny, and they look a little polished. I use that word on purpose, right? And they were holding him down and holding his hands. And naturally, I'm believing that Jordan Neely was trying to relieve some pressure from what was being done to his neck. He wasn't even, when you look at the video, it doesn't appear like he was trying to fight in the sense of trying to fight them. It was that pressure being put around his neck, and he has no way to relieve it. He's being held down with his hands. The other person is pushing down on his shoulder or his other arm or keeping him from moving. So anybody, I don't care if even if you are a police officer and you were held down by some criminals, your natural reaction is going to want to try to get out of that hole or relieve the pain. Everybody tries to does something to get away from pain than they do to get away from pleasure, right? It's as simple as that. It's just simple human nature, human behavior, so on and so forth, all right? So the lawyer also denied that race was a factor. That's a bunch of bull, because there's something important I'm going to point out in a little bit too. But the lawyer also denied that race was a factor in his client's decision to grab Neely, who was black. Penny is white. As to race, it's simply not the motivation for Denny, according to his attorney Razor. All right, he is the one who put himself in danger. Again, in danger to what? In danger from what? When the news report said there were sources that said that Jordan Neely did not act violent. So how did Penny put himself in danger to save other people? But he says he is the one who put himself in danger to save who? All the people on that train. Black people, brown people, white people. It didn't matter to Denny. Denny put his life at risk to save all those people. So you say, right? So you say. All right, let's continue. All right, this is the picture I want to point out. But before we do that, let's continue on with the article, okay? It says Penny, who surrendered last week, is free on $100,000 bail pending a return court appearance in July. The former U.S. Marine was seen on viral video grabbing Neely in a chokehold on an F train in Lower Manhattan. All right. In the footage, the homeless man eventually stops moving and is left lying on the floor of the train while Penny and others look on. According to witnesses, Neely became disruptive when he boarded the train, prompting other strap hangers to move away from him before Penny grabbed him from behind. All right. So now, real quick, I'm going to point something out in this picture here. This arrest, him getting the walk of shame. Penny, that is. I might do it on my podcast show. the more and more I think about it, the more and more I'm believing I'm going to do it on the podcast show and not here on the news channel. So I would definitely put the link in the description when I have it set up and scheduled, when I'm going to do that. It'll be in this description, but you guys need to also go to, and you can also look on this channel's page right now, and you'll see the icon for Thoughts of the Week podcast. You guys can click on that, subscribe to the channel, and we're going to talk a little bit about this picture here. All right. Look at his shoes. That's going to be a very key thing. And maybe, maybe the people who are representing Jordan Neely's family might take this in consideration too. When you look at his shoes, you see the colors black and white. All right. That's going to be very, very important. Very significant. Okay. Very, very important. Very, very significant. So keep that in mind. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to go into any details. Like I said, I'm probably going to do it on the podcast channel. So if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, Thoughts of the Week podcast, get subscribed. You can also catch it on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Spotify as well. If you're subscribed to Spotify, you'll see the video later on Spotify if you have a subscription. Because I'm thinking more, I'm just going to kind of touch on that. It's probably going to be a real quick video on this in regard to what Daniel Penny is wearing. All right. In particular, his shoes. Because I'm going to show you guys something. More and more I think about it. Yeah. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. And for those who are watching me on my personal Facebook page, and those who are watching the What's the 411 News Facebook page, and those who are watching on Twitter and Twitch, What's the 411 News, you guys might want to come on over and subscribe to the YouTube channel Thoughts of the Week podcast. And it's also Thoughts of the Week podcast on Twitch as well. So for those who might want to subscribe over there on Twitch. All right. And Twitter. So you might want to follow us on Twitter, on that page, on Twitter as well, for your people who like to stay on Twitter, because I'm going to show you something in regards to Daniel Penny's clothing that might be more revealing in regards to this case. Okay. And so the picture there he is with, he's a former Marine, was charged with second-degree manslaughter in the May 1st choking of Jordan Neely on the Manhattan F train. Penny, who is free on $100,000 bond, has raised already over $2 million for his defense. All right. So, yeah, we're going to show you some things regarding that. Very interesting. All right. So let's get to this last piece here. And there's Jordan Neely. It's provided by Karen Neely. I don't know if that's his mom or if he has sisters or any relatives. He was a former Michael Jackson impersonator with a history of mental illness. And that's something within itself. Hold on, I got a comment here. Oh, no problem, man. Appreciate you coming in. You all right, man? That's all right. You can always play it back. I appreciate you coming in, bro. Phantom Beat, thank you for checking us out. But yeah, let's get back to the remaining of this article here. So Penny was questioned by cops and initially released without charges. All right. So the city's medical examiner later ruled the death a homicide caused by compression of neck, i.e. chokehold. The incident galvanized the city, with protesters staging several demonstrations in the Big Apple demanding Penny's arrest and justice for Neely. Lawyers for Neely's family have maintained that Penny should face a more serious murder charge. And I would say so, especially after what I'm thinking. Well, I keep saying I'm just going to do it. I just got to get the pictures together. And you guys might want to subscribe to my podcast channel, because that's where I'm going to do it on. I'm not going to do it here on the news channel. So y'all go to Thoughts of the Week podcast, subscribe, and be sure to check it out. Be paying attention to when it will be scheduled, when I'll go live to reveal some things in regards to what Penny was wearing in that picture and some other pictures to consider. All right. And so I would agree with their family, with Jordan Neely's family, saying he should be charged with a more serious charge, and to Penny's attorney, who says it wasn't about race. This podcast episode I'm going to be doing is going to definitely show you that the big possibilities of this being about race is a factor. All right. Because of what he was wearing, his shoes, the color of his shoes. All right. And strings. All right. So funds raised by Give Send Go campaign will go to Penny's defense team at Razor and Kenneth, according to the page, which was set up by the attorneys. Any additional money. Now, here's something that's real a smack in the face. This last part here. It says any additional money will be donated to a mental health advocacy program in New York City, the page says. Now, I'm explaining to you why that is a slap in the face. All right. Because as you see up here up top, that the picture of Jordan Neely, it says, I'm going to read it again. It says Jordan Neely, 30, was a former Michael Jackson impersonator with a history of mental illness. A history of mental illness, right? And yet at the bottom of this article, it says, this is according to the attorneys here, and any additional monies that they receive that were donated, they're going to donate it to a mental health advocacy program. That's a slap in the damn face. After you find out, or you may have known already, of his mental illnesses after this incident happened, and then all of a sudden you're going to donate. Oh, by the way, we're going to donate some of the extra money we might receive to a mental health advocacy program. No, you need to get that money to Jordan Neely's family. How about that? How about giving it to them and let them pick a mental health advocacy program? How about that? That seems like a better idea. That seems like a way better idea. All right, so I'm gonna play this audio again one more time because I think it's very important. It is very, very important. All right. We're gonna play this audio right now. Here we go.
24-year-old Marine veteran Daniel Penny can be seen in this disturbing video restraining 30-year-old Jordan Neely, who was homeless in a chokehold for nearly 3 minutes. Sources tell ABC News Neely was yelling and acting erratically on the subway, but had not become physically violent. Other passengers.
They said sources say that Jordan Neely was acting erratically, but he was not acting violent. And in that article, they try to pose him as being violent and saying that Penny was doing something for the passengers and risked his life. Risked his life for what? When the sources say that, Jordan Neely was acting erratic, that's because he had mental illness. It always seems funny when it comes to black men, black people, if they have mental illness, it's not believable. Everybody else has mental illness and they shot up a school because he had mental illness. Oh, help him out. They didn't mean to do it. But when it seems like when it comes to a black person, when it comes to mental illness, we don't have mental illness, or it's no possible way a black person can have a mental illness, right? Very interesting. And then like I said, the family believes he should be charged with something more severe, and I agree with him. I agree with him. Also, I would add, like I mentioned in this picture here, all right, like I mentioned in this picture right here, there were two other people who had their hands on Jordan, and I think they should receive some punishment as well. because they were involved in his death as well, keeping him being unable to relieve any pain that he might have been receiving. Right? So yeah, there's a lot of things to consider, and they're already starting to use, because he had an arrest record, or they, from what I'm hearing, they're saying about Jordan having an arrest record, and that's even something else to look at. So if a black man had a past arrest record and then has some type of mental illness, or maybe he had a mental illness then, but there's a few things to look at, because a black man has a past arrest record and might get up somewhere, whether it's in the street, whether it's on a train, and so-called acts erratically, I'm sure due to the mental illness. That is a license to take him out and kill him, huh? And then what seems to be the thing, they always seem to do this when it comes to black people. If they do something, they always want to bring up a past arrest record, right? That's kind of interesting. First thing they jump to. So if a person has a past arrest record, and that past arrest record has nothing to do with involving murdering somebody, right? That's also a pass to kill somebody as well. Is that what this is about? And if anybody else of another race feels uncomfortable, if they feel uncomfortable with you, with a black man or black woman, just simply because they feel uncomfortable with you, other people are allowed to kill you. Simply because I feel afraid. So kill them because you feel afraid. If someone gets loud, kill them. If someone speaks up because they're angry about something and they're black, so you kill them because of that. Simply because they spoke up. They have a mental illness. Black person has a mental illness, and they're acting erratic because according to this, I'm going to play this again, because according to this,
24-year-old Marine veteran Daniel Penny can be seen in this disturbing video restraining 30-year-old Jordan Neely, who was homeless in a chokehold for nearly 3 minutes. Sources tell ABC News Neely was yelling and acting erratically on the subway, but had not become physically violent. Other passengers are
yelling and acting erratically, but had not become physically violent. So if he didn't become physically violent, what was the chokehold for, and why were the other two people, who I'm really saying is real suspect, at least one of the two, but I say both of them, why were they holding him down, basically involved in this murder, if he wasn't acting physically violent according to the sources? Why was he killed? There are other holds, there are other maneuvers that you can do to take somebody down and hold them until police arrive. And this is not something I'm gonna go through here. I might go through this on another channel of mine where we talk about personal protection and things like that. I might go over it on there, but there are other things that could have been done outside of a chokehold. As a matter of fact, as you've seen in the picture here, when you've seen in the picture where it was Penny and these two other people, they already had his hand, so Penny could have let go and then just get involved in maybe holding his head, not putting his arm around his neck, but just holding his head, maybe by his forehead, by the sides of his head, while the other two held his arms and shoulders down, right? That was an option they could have done. And the fact that the sources that I hope the prosecutor gets a hold of the sources and puts them on the stand. And I hope the police got their statement. But these sources said he was yelling and screaming and acting erratic, but he never became physically violent. So what was the point in taking him out when he did not become physically violent? So I hope the person or these sources, the source person or these sources of people don't mysteriously disappear because they seen something a little bit different than what mainstream news and everybody else wants to portray what happened. All right. So the audio, you heard it, I played it several times. He did not act physically with his hands and wants to punch and kick. He did not act physically violent, just yelling and screaming. But I guess now, like I said, if you want to, because somebody yells and screams and they black, I guess it's time to kill them because they're yelling and screaming. So that's a license to kill them because they yelled and screamed and acted erratically, but never did a physical violent move on anybody. So that's the justification now. Well, you guys let me know what you think, man. I appreciate y'all for coming in as always. And we'll be back soon with another one, man. This is What's the 411 News. And I'm out of here. Peace.
Welcome back to What's the 411 News, where we bring you news observation, interpretation, and news commentary from an FBA and BGR perspective. Let's get it.